good afternoon, everyone. I request everyone to kindly take their seats and keep your mobile phones on silent, as the Principal Chief Commissioner and other dignitaries are going to join us soon. Ladies and gentlemen, the dignitaries have arrived. A very warm good afternoon to everyone. Today, Bengaluru Customs is celebrating the 60th anniversary of the enactment of the Indian Customs Act 1962. This is the celebration of the theme Evolution of Customs Act from the past to the present. On this occasion, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all our honorable guests, serving and retired officers across departments and line ministries, and our esteemed colleagues. Due to some official reasons, our chief guest for today, Shri ISN Prasad, will be joining us after 5 p.m. Sir will be represented by Srimati Kaur, Secretary Finance to the Government of Karnataka. Light symbolizes knowledge and purity and is the dispeller of darkness. As is the tradition, let us begin today's event with the lighting of the lamp. I request Principal Chief Commissioner Srimati Ranjana Jha, Guest of Honor Shri S. Rajendra Kumar, Srimati Kaur, Shri G.R. Seshagiri Rao, and Principal Commissioner Srimati Kajal Singh to come forward and light the lamp. Thank you, madams and sirs. After this pious beginning of the celebration, I would like to invite Principal Chief Commissioner Srimati Ranjana Jha to accompany Srimati Kaur, Shri S. Rajendra Kumar, and Shri G.R. Seshagiri Rao to the stage. Ma'am, if you please. Our guest of honor today, Shri S. Rajendra Kumar, is a 1990 batch officer of the Indian Postal Service. During his 32 years of service, Sir has served the country in various capacities, most notably as ADG, Unique Identification Authority of India, Postmaster General, South Karnataka Region, and presently serving as the Chief Postmaster General of Karnataka Circle. Sir, we are honored to have you here with us today in this celebration. I request the Principal Chief Commissioner Srimati Ranjana Jha and Principal Commissioner Srimati Kajal Singh to welcome Shri S. Rajendra Kumar with a sapling and a memento. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Shri G.R. Seshagiri Rao has more than 3.5 decades of service in the public sector. Sir has worked in Container Corporation of India Limited, Concor, in various capacities spanning a range of assignments. As part of ease of doing business, Sir has introduced simplified operating procedures and technology-driven initiatives, including paperless transactions in both EXIM and domestic cargo movement. Sir is currently holding the charge of Executive Director Concor at Hyderabad since January 2022. Sir, we are honored to have you here with us in the celebration. I request the Commissioner of Customs, Shri K. Balamurugan, to welcome Sir with a sapling and a memento. Thank you, sir. It is my immense delight to introduce Srimati Kaur. Ma'am is 2002 batch officer of the Indian Administrative Service. In her public service career, Madam has held various positions, most notably as the Deputy Commissioner and CEO of Belgaum, Director, Department of Women and Child Development, and Managing Director of Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation. Presently, Ma'am is serving as the Secretary in Department of Finance, Government of Karnataka. Ma'am, the Customs and Indirect Tax family are honored to have you here on this occasion. I request Additional Commissioner of Customs, Shri Mashudur Rahman Faruqi, to welcome Ma'am with a sapling and a memento. Thank you, sir. Now I request the Principal Chief Commissioner of Customs and Central Tax, Srimati Ranjana Jha, to kindly deliver the opening address.
Shri S. Rajendra Kumar, Chief Postmaster General, Karnataka Circle. Shri G.R. Sheshagiri Rao, Executive Director, Concord. And in absentia, Shri I.S.M. Prasad, I.S., Additional Chief Secretary, Finance Department, represented here today by Ms. Kaur, Secretary Budget. He has promised to join us at 5 o'clock because there was a sudden engagement with the CM and the PM also. But he's promised that he's going to join us at 5 p.m. So we welcome him too in absentia. I'm very happy that to see many of our luminaries, our gurus are also over here who are blessing us on this occasion. Today is an important day for all of us belonging to the Customs Department. It is the 60th anniversary of the coming into effect of the Customs Act. And although Customs Act is 60 years old, as you know, the retirement age is 60 in Government of India. But I can assure you, Customs is not retired at all. It's one of the most powerful and one of the most adjusting and increasing in importance kind of an act. Customs, of course, is the act which protects our economic frontiers, also gives us a little bit of revenue, which is steadily kind of decreasing over the years. It also keeps us in touch with the Committee of Nations. It puts India in its rightful place in the world. So keeping that in mind, it's an extremely important enactment which came into being on the 13th of December 1962. In fact, I would like to share with you that the CBIC is also organizing a very big event to celebrate this occasion, and all chief commissioners from all over the country have been called to celebrate that. Honorable FM will be joining us on that day. So the emphasis, the importance of this occasion cannot be overemphasized. Of course, there are a bunch of duties which constitute Customs Act, and some of them which have become very prominent recently, like IGST, which is not strictly speaking a Customs Act, but it is of extreme importance. You have a BCD and you have the additional duties of customs which have now gone into the IGST, as it is said. Then you have certain other duties which are levied to prevent dumping in India from certain nations which are dumping at below price levels. Then you have a safeguard duty also, which safeguards, even in future, an anticipated injury can also be offset by a safeguard duty. So all these duties together constitute, there are a bunch of cesses also which are levied on these imports. All of them go together to protect India as a nation and to regulate trade between India and the other countries of the world. I would like to do a very brief flashback to 1995. The reason being that customs is definitely not what it was at the time when we all joined the service in the 80s. It's undergone a magical transformational, it's a new avatar altogether. It's simply not as we saw it, as I remember it long back. In 1995, the EDI system was first introduced, and I remember as a very young assistant commissioner, I did a small study on that. I was asked to do a study, and I went into various aspects of it. But all that I remember at that point of time, it's nothing as compared to what it has become now, as it is today. You have this mammoth structure called Ice Gate. It's a very imposing, a very big India gate it is, absolutely. It has so many stakeholders who are participating together in it. In fact, I have some latest, a few stats. 160 lakh plus users. The IEC holders, 1,43,973. You have 10,863 CHAs, 60 airlines, about 1,500 console agents, 360 custodians, 100 shipping lines, shipping agents 1929, partner government agencies 239, UN holders 4 of them. But this is the number of people who are participating at a virtual level in our ice skate. And I also want to mention that roughly 30 years back or so, the duties were so high in customs. It was amazing, 300% or so. I'll just share a small anecdote from my personal life. I was a student at that time, and my mother had brought in a color TV, just a small 14-inch color TV, very old-fashioned with that big fat body of his and all that huge TV. It was a very ugly piece, as I recall it. And we got levied 300 plus duty on it, and the duty amount was more than the value of the TV. I remember a lot of grumbling going on. I was a student at that time, not really in touch with all these things. There's a lot of consternation as how the duty can be over and above the value of the TV. But we brought it in, we had paid the duty because they had got it with a lot of difficulty. So we paid the duty, brought it in. The other day when I was going, my mother passed last year, I was going through her things, and you won't believe, I found that small receipt, where the duty was so high. I've kept it framed over there because I want to remind myself how much we have changed as a nation, From those times when we were levying all these prohibitive duties, not realizing that we have to be part of the Committee of Nations, and duty cannot be so high as to destroy the rationale for making the commodity in the first place. It cannot be. It has to encourage. It cannot stifle the progress of development. So that was just in the lighter vein. And from that, we have progressed to something which is a completely transformational avatar, the contactless, faceless, paperless regime. It is truly not only amazingly different, but it's also very inspirational, I would say. We aspire to do that, and I recall, and at that time I was in Delhi Customs. I recall when we were doing initially the pilot was in Chennai and Bengaluru only. It was extended to Delhi for some time. We had only some commodities in it. And I remember at one time in August, we extended some more commodities, and roughly October, we went full. We went fully onto faceless. I still remember the consternation we had at that point of time. All the officers and all the officials all down. There was a lot of pain, there was a lot of anguish. They didn't know what to do. Because each we have a certain kind of specialization in the commodities that come. Some are specialized in diamond, gold. Others are specialized in metals, for example. Valuation of metal is a very complex and complicated structure. I mean, it's not just that you pick up a customs value and put it out there. You have to check up the London Metal Exchange values, and then you have to compare it with what you have, your own values, and then you have to arrive at you have to see at what value he imported it earlier, and then you fix the value. So it was a very complicated thing. So when it went to somebody who's not used to it, there was all-round consternation. So the last person over there in the field, encouraging them, telling them that don't worry, it's good, it's all good for the future of the country, and you can do it. Just check around, come back with us, we'll handhold you through it. And definitely our officers totally rose to the occasion. Every little guy out there, I mean, they spent the midnight hour, they burnt the midnight oil, and they sat there, they did the valuation, they struggled, they were afraid also. What happens if you make a mistake? And then you have this vigilance on your head or whatever. But they were brave, they went through it. And I can say with a lot of happiness, and look at the progress we have made now. Now this has become such a huge thing now, absolutely. Nothing is really, we've gone beyond the phase where we used to go after de minimis things, we are wasting our energy on small things. We've recognized that you have to go beyond all of that. We have to go after the big fish and the real problems. The small ones, things will take care of themselves. So in tune with that, our RMS, which if I recall correctly, received a DOPT award for one of the best contributions for administration and development. The RMS has completely taken over customs. Literally 80%, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more every day, is covered under RMS, and there's absolutely, it's fully facilitated. Once the thing comes, it just goes for an out of charge. You can have a second degree RMS also, where the item it has a small bout of assessment, but definitely no examination. The balance, about approximately 20%, definitely does come up for checking at the customs. And regarding that also, we have a huge kind of we have national assessment centers which are kind of specializing in certain commodities. We have faceless assessment groups which are basically concerned with the assessment and the levy of the customs duty upon these 20% only. And to support them, you have the port assessment groups wherever something cannot be decided. I recall in this regard, Delhi Customs used to get a lot of, pardon me for talking about Delhi Customs because that's my major exposure to customs in recent years. So we used to get a lot of gold dore bars, which is not a gold, it's a gold dore bar because of the 95% gold purity. So what we used to do was, it was generally subjected to provisional assessment. It would never be finally assessed. But when it went after faceless to some other place far away, they went ahead and they did a final kind of assessment of that. So then we had this experience of these people coming to us and telling us, no, 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 don't do it, make it provisional. So we had to intervene, and there was a lot of, we intervened, and finally it was converted to provisional assessment. I'm just talking about that to just bring to light the kind of mental changes we had to make and the kind of difficulties we observed while implementing the faceless program. It's really a very, very brave action on our part. The department, as it used to be once upon a time, tax collectors, and now we are no longer tax collectors, we are facilitators. More on that a little later. So we are here, it's all about facilitation today because there's a recognition. As you know, customs is a very old act, very old duty. It was given as a kind of tribute to the king. And it has mentioned in the Arthashastra also, if I'm not mistaken, where it was said that you should collect tax the way a bumblebee collects nectar. I'd just like to go a little forward. If you can see, what I wanted to say was, a payment of any tax for any human being always comes with a certain amount of consternation. It's always difficult. That's why it has been compared to a bumblebee, which is piercing. There's a needle impact over there. It's painful. So you make it gentle, try to make it as easy as you can for everybody, because we have to make that easy. Then only we will get the better compliance. So we have so many other measures to make this easy for the taxpayers. For example, we have this under this contactless, paperless, and faceless program. We have the SWIFT. There's a single window clearance. Anybody wanting a clearance from FSI or from Animal Husbandry Department, all he has to do is to write over there, and it goes to that department. And then they send their clearance into that e-Sanchit. That's a very pretty name. In e-Sanchit, literally it's a pot. So it goes into that e-Sanchit, and you can drag it out of there. You don't have to check back with the department. That's a lot of facilitation out there. Then the iSkate registration has been made highly simplified. And all you have to do is, you don't even have to have a digital signature certificate and a PAN-based check. If you have an IC code and a GSTN number, all that verification that is asked of you at the first stage is your phone number, your mobile number, and your email, and that's it, you're on. You're onboarded. It's as simple as that. You also have something, an ICE dash, by which the general public, the trade, can measure as to which port is doing, is speeding up its clearances, and accordingly you can plan your logistics. And what more facilitation than that is great. Then apart from this, you have other things like you have to support the faceless assessment groups and the taxpayers. You have the Turant Suvidha Kendra, which was initially, that also had a lot of teething problems. But now I'm seeing that there's an automated link to it by which the taxpayer just has to put in his grievance, and it is attended to in an anonymous fashion. There's this anonymized escalation program in that. Then in the paperless environment, of course, everything is dematerialized nowadays in customs, almost everything. So you have this web-based registration of goods. This is a very major. I remember back in the days when we used to have a training, this registration was a big seal. It has to, the importer had to file about 4 or 5 copies of the bill of entry in various glamorous colors, blue, green, whatever it was, and the registration used to be a stamp over there. It was a big drama over there. We were taken through various steps of that in the Bombay Custom House, still recall that. Now it's just online, the whole thing, boom, it's there. You get that registration out there. You also have this CCV, Customs Compliance Verification, which allows the importer to self-register the imported goods. This is a very important provision. And you can even pay the duty, in fact. Earlier, you could not pay the duty till you finish your assessment and your examination. Now you can even self-assess your duty and pay it. And then afterwards, if it's checked, it's allowed to go on. Then, of course, e-Sanchit I've already mentioned, and this is an ICE track. If somebody wants to know where the bill of entry is pending, you just go into this ICE track, and then you can live track the status of the bill of entry and the shipping bill. And the e-Gate Pass is a very, very major, I've seen it with my own eyes. It is such a huge facilitating measure. I mean, if you've done all your steps and you've finished your duty payment and boom, it just goes out there. You've got the little handheld gun and it's got a QR code and stuff like that, and it's done. He can just take very comfortably, very painlessly, he can take his e-Gate Pass. Then, of course, we've given these ICE tabs to all our officers in the sheds and all that, which enable them to be self-sufficient and independent in this whole venture. As a support to this, of course, we have so many other measures. It's just too many. I don't want to take up too much of your time and the time of our precious chief guests and guests of honor. But I have to mention a few, so do give me that little bit of time. The Authorized Economic Operator Program, it used to be called the Accredited Clients Program earlier. It has morphed into this. It's a huge branding device, and as I was going through it, doing some research on it, I found that this is a very coveted kind of a position. It certifies that this particular importer or exporter is compliant and is neat and clean, and you can safely negotiate and trade with him. There won't be any problems as to non-compliance of measures and violation of the acts. Of course, we have T1 and T2 and T3, which is the highest level of facilitation. And we offer, in fact, we have 238 T1 registered people in Bengaluru zone, 5 only in T2 and about 8 T3 of them. Plus the LO is also there for the logistics people. So over and above the compliance, I mean, they have so many other features, like you have waiver of bank guarantee. You have, I mean, you don't have to stand in the queues, and your drawback is highly facilitated. I mean, it's expedited rather, expedited, fast tracking of refunds and adjudications. You have self-certified copies of documentations accepted for clearance. Because as you know, with increasing level of this T1 to T3, we are also going into their units and checking out with various parameters. So they have allowed, there's a high level of trust between the department and the taxpayers. They've allowed them in and to give them this branding and this certification, which helps them in a big way. They also have access to a client relationship manager. Usually it's an AC or a DC level official who helps them with all the any problems that they might be having. Then another very, very important provision is the DPD and the DPE. This is also given mostly to these AEOs. And of course, and if you have about 25 of such clearances in the past, full container load things, then you can also get it even if you're not an AEO. It's a very major development. If you know about customs, the ICDs were brought up to reduce the congestion at the CFS is brought up to reduce the congestion in the ICDs. But then over a period of time, it was found that when the importers had to pick up the containers, it had to go to the ICD, CFS, wait over there, they have to pay the demurrage, then they have to transport it back. So then the department thought of the DPD and the DPE as a counterpoise to that. Under the DPD, of course, it began at JNCH and is replicated everywhere. Directly from the port, a particular taxpayer, the importer, can pick it up right from the port and go straight to the factory. Of course, it's generally given to the AEOs only. And 25, you've got 25 clearances in the previous year. Similarly, in the DPE, this is a very major provision because e-stuffing of containers used to be pretty painful and a cumbersome process. And now CBIC has reposed so much of confidence in the taxpayers that factory stuffing is being allowed. You just put in that stuffing there and put that bottle seal and boom, it goes straight to the export area. And there's nothing further. It won't be opened unless there's some specific intel or something. It won't be opened at all. So this is another very, very major facilitative provision. And of course, as you all know, that we are constantly looking at ourselves. We are criticizing ourselves. We are trying to improve ourselves all the time. This is a new thing, a very new feature. There was a time when we thought we knew it all, right? And if we didn't know something, it didn't exist. Now we've gone beyond all that kind of stuff, and no longer do we have that silo-based approach. It's very interdisciplinary, and you have to kind of help the taxpayer to pay his tax to the best extent possible. So constantly our endeavor is always to bring down the dwell time in the importing areas to 48 in the ICDs and 24 hours in the airports and air cargos, and in export from 24 up to 24 and 12 hours. That's always our endeavor. So towards this effect, in the January of every year, we have this the survey that we do, the NTRS, and where we constantly check ourselves, and if there are problems, we find that the dwell time has increased due to some reason, or there could be sometimes you finish the assessment and the assessee doesn't have enough money to pay the duty, so it takes a little bit of time. That adds to the dwell time. So discounting all of that, so we try to reduce the dwell time to the extent possible. Sometimes, but it's still, you'll hear lots of complaints on this because there are partner agencies. You need your FSI person to be there. He may not be there because every day there's no FSI clearance. So all those issues are of course there. And I would be failing in my duty if I didn't really point out the immense contribution to the nation done by the Customs Department during COVID. As you know, COVID, the whole world suffered very deeply, very badly. And during this time, it was customs, when people were just sitting at home in fear. Our customs warriors, as we call them, they went out and they were there on the job. The family members allowed the officers in their families to go out and do this. It was highly dangerous, thought to be dangerous at that point of time because you could catch an infection in the blink of an eye. But we went and did that. And so many clearances coming. In fact, the FM has also mentioned the particular contribution of customs, particularly Delhi Customs. Much of it was coming from there. In all her, recently when she had the DRI day, also she specifically referred to clearance of COVID materials by customs. We tried to go right onto the tarmac and clear it as quickly as possible so that the citizens don't suffer. Also recently, the courier mode, like we had this ECCS system, which was initially developed by one of the courier agencies only, but we've kind of taken it on and we are trying to extend it to all the courier facilities. So which is still a work in progress, but however, we are doing good progress in that. And of course, we have a host of other benefits which people, if you go into YouTube, you'll see so many people really praising this, like you have drawback, you have Rostel and you have ROTTEP at various stages, whatever. In fact, you used to have a scheme like MEIs and SEIs, which was kind of criticized by the WTO because it was a reward kind of a scheme. So instead of that has been withdrawn. In its place, the Rostel and the ROTTEP came. The return of the duties suffered by the product is allowed under the WTO rules because we want our exports to be free of all these duties. So these have come in, and in fact, I have a statistic here. Immense amount has been disbursed as duty drawback. In duty drawback, I would like to mention that our goal, which we are following very, very rigidly, I would say, is T+3. We try to finish even within that parameter. And it's so, and drawback also, the RMS is there. It's fully facilitated mostly, just limited to removing the scroll out. The AC has to take out the scroll. This is, of course, we have to do some kind of checks, internal checks. That's also very limited. The role is limited to checking whether the classifications and all the details have been kept properly. So, and this also we are trying to put it into greater. In fact, I made a suggestion to the board on how to kind of digitize this aspect also, because there's a slight aspect when after the scroll is brought out, you take out a physical copy and then go to the bank and they have to compare from their digital and this physical copy. So the slight physical element is there. We are working on that to make that also digitized, to digitize that as well. Then the most recent achievement, I would say, of the board and all of the officers is the CBLMS, the Custom Broker License Management System. It was one of the few areas where he had to come physically, fill up all the application forms to get recognized as a customs broker. So we have kind of put a stop to it. It began from Bombay Customs, and yesterday the chairman in the video conference released the very first license on this particular module. So that is also onboarded. The Atithi app is a very cute little app. If you're entering the country, you can just declare whatever you want to declare through this app. Then another very important thing, I assure you I'm coming to the end of this, but SCMTR regulations is again, literally, it's called Sea Cargo Manifest. Literally, it's a sea change. because you have to declare your cargo manifest way back when you're on the port of loading. So right there, it has to come over here. And the export, just before it sets off, the ship sets off. So in advance, you have this kind of information, and then you can plan your logistics. And it also results in and you can literally track the cargo right from the port, right up to the point where customs clearance is given. So that's a huge kind of facilitation. And I would say last in my list is the mover, as it is called, manufacturing other operations, the custom bonded warehouse regulation. It's an absolute game changer. I really hope and pray that this thing picks up more and more, because it will definitely result in our achieving that magic figure of $5 trillion economy. Because this is something where wherever you can just set up a factory with just a warehouse, anyway, you make it a custom bonded warehouse, and all your imported items are, it's a deferred payment of duty. You don't need to pay the duty till you've actually clearing it to the domestic tariff area, or if you're exporting it, of course, there may be no duties, and yet you get access to all the facilities that export are getting, like IGST refunds, etc. And there are absolutely no requirements of the NFE, or the other things coming inside. So many other parameters are there if you go for the advance authorization and the other schemes of the DGFT. This is absolutely clean and free. You bring it here, you manufacture, and you take it out. That's it. It's boom. And no quantity restrictions, no other restrictions of how much the net foreign exchange should be there, or the SIAN guidelines and everything. So you can see from here that, because there are 101 other things like SEZs and others, and the certificate of origin procedures, the FTAs. So I won't go into that right now. It'll be too detailed. So as you can see, what I wanted to bring out right now in my talk is customs is like way different from what it was 30, 40 years ago. It's highly facilitative, and I can see, and I can assure you from the ground level, whenever we get a problem or an issue, we take it up and we escalate it to insane levels. We just jump on it and we try to make it better for the people concerned. If there's a problem, we are here, we're all sitting, me and all our officers. We go all out to make this whole process as easy and comfortable as it is possible. And we all must understand, of course, the other side also, that payment of tax is necessary for us. Without that, we won't have the resources. We can't enjoy roads and bridges and so many other things which we are enjoying now. So it is a necessary requirement, but definitely it's our duty in the 21st century to make it as comfortable and painless as possible. And today, on occasions of customs, on the 60th day of this Customs Act, I would definitely like to assert, and I'm seeing that this is where we are going. That is facilitation and comfortable payment of duty. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the very apt opening address. The address has clearly highlighted the theme of today's celebration, which is the evolution of Customs Act from the past to the present. Now, I humbly request Srimati Kaur to kindly address the gathering.
A very good evening to everyone. Dignitaries on the dais, Madam Ranjana Jha, Mr. Rajendra Kumar, Sheshagiri Rao ji, and a lot of dignitaries off the dais, DPN sir, Vinod Kumar sir, Abhay Jyotsi sir, and a lot of seniors and colleagues, some officers with whom I also worked in the past. In fact, I was just listening to ma'am and I was completely transported back into my probation days. I was part of this fraternity. I was 2000 batch IRS officer, and I did a part of my training. So listening to ma'am was almost like a refresher on all that we had learned. Of course, I didn't do the customs part of the training. I had only attended the first half, which was more on excise, and then I moved on. But it was interesting, very interesting, listening to all those terms once again, which I had completely were not a part of my dictionary any longer. But very nice to hear all that. I am here today representing ISN Prasad sir. In fact, he was supposed to attend this event, and he was looking forward to this event. But just in nick of time, he was called for an important discussion. There is some VC with the Prime Minister, and CM wanted some briefing. So last minute, I am chipping in for him. So I don't have any a dress which is ready for the occasion. But I would like to convey just a few thoughts that came to my mind. Of course, Customs Act, it came 60 years back, but although it has undergone a lot of transformation, but I feel that the Act has also stood the test of time. Even after 60 years, the Act is very, very relevant. And within the provisions of the Act, it has been able to, the department has been able to adapt to the changing environment. In fact, over the years, while probably the customs collection per se may have come down, I don't have the exact statistics, as a percentage, certainly it is coming down. But the importance of customs has increased tremendously, especially in this global era. We are living in the time of, where global supply chains are the mantra, and there is production of a commodity happening in various countries. It is not like a good produced in China or a good produced in Bangladesh. It is produced all over. So even my iPhone, in the sense, it would have gone production in various countries, at least a dozen of them. And there are instances when the same good is produced, a part of it is produced in one country, goes back, comes back to a country. So in this type of manufacturing environment, it is very important that the Customs Act and the customs regime facilitates this. And I think the department has done tremendously well over the years to move from the role of a regulator and enforcement agency alone to also being a facilitator of business and to create a business-friendly environment. Today, everybody is talking of ease of doing business. In fact, over the last 3-4 years, there has been tremendous emphasis on reducing the compliance burden and reducing the number of declarations or compliances that each firm has to do. And I think in that direction, the Customs Act has also provided room for things like bonded warehouses and all, where it has become easier for people to do their business. So also, as ma'am was mentioning, during COVID times, in spite of all the restrictions on physically going, checking, and analyzing, department rose up to the occasion, and actually the business was carried down without any hiccups, and has over the last few years gone towards becoming more and more contactless, faceless, and a lot of the procedures have been simplified and also made online to facilitate the transaction of business. Of course, enforcement still remains to be an important part of the exercise, because so many contraband goods and drugs and everything coming into the country, that is also something that the department has to work on, and that part has been strengthened over the years. But now the role is multifaceted. It is not limited just to that. And I think the facilitator part of the role has taken a very big proportion. And I'm sure within the ambit of this act, all that would be possible. So on this occasion of 60th year of the customs, enactment of the Customs Act, I convey my best wishes to the department, and I hope that going ahead also, the act would continue to be a source of guidance, and within the act, the department would be able to achieve the aspirations of the nation, including becoming a more and more business-friendly place, so that globally India continues to grow. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words and humble suggestions. Now I request Shri G.R. Seshagiri Rao, Executive Director, Concor, to kindly address the gathering. So.
Good evening. Madam Principal Chief Commissioner Srimati Ranjana Jaji, Sri Rajendra Kumar Ji, Chief Postmaster General, Karnataka Circle, Madam Yakshagana Kaur Ji, Secretary to the Government, Principal Commissioners, Commissioners, Officers of the Department, trade, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege for a container corporation that today again we have been present over here. Previously in International Customs Day, in other custom houses, I had an occasion on the invitation at Vizag, Chennai, Kandla to participate. 60 years successful completion for an act, for a vast country like India. Are we really old 60 years? That aspect has been mentioned by Principal Chief Commissioner Madam. It was mentioned in older texts like Arthashastra. Where do we go back? The customs. That has also been mentioned, correct, truly. It's a custom. Another word for a tradition. The traders, merchants with merchandise coming there paying tribute. Madam has mentioned, correct. Sima Shulk. It's not a tax, it's a shulk. Now, when you see this shulk that came into existence, I think we need to go further back. All of us know in Skanda Purana, Sri Satyanarayana Swami Katha is mentioned. Pratham, there 5 stories are there. The very first story that mentions about a businessman, his wife Leelavati, who had subsequently daughter Kalavati. Now after this daughter Kalavati grown up, got married, the son-in-law who came, father-in-law, both of them went on to sell their merchandise. What happens over there? When they were resting in a guest house, satram what we call, the thieves who were running away with a booty, they entered this, thrown the booty there. The Sainiks followed, they found this booty there with this businessman. Naturally, they were apprehended. Now, what has saved them? The Katha says, Sri Satyanarayana Swami, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, has saved. But at that point of time, the field Sainiks, who are like our officers, they questioned them, who are you? They said, we are merchants. What is the proof? Immediately they have shown, see, we have paid customs duty. This is the TR6 challan. This is out of charge for our goods. Look, now they have got convinced. This is the originating of out of charge certificate. So that was there with them. They paid the tributes, resting there in the... So the Skanda Purana in medieval period also mentioned that the trade happened between the states, between the countries, and the merchants were paying the tribute. Now coming to next, the 60 years successful completion, the diamond jubilee that we call after golden jubilee of 15 years, maybe platinum jubilee at 75 years also we would be definitely observing. But at this point of time, when the Customs Act of previously 1901 replaced by 1962, this got time-tested act that guided the department, the officers, everyone. It inspired the nation. Of course, it inspired Bollywood. It made several heroes into limelight. Maybe we all know that in the middle 80s, the scriptwriters also used to get influenced with the valor, duty, devotion of the customs officers. They used to write. Cinema is a powerful medium to create an impact. We used to inspire, get inspiration. But why this mentioning is, in these 60 years that we know after independence, for the successful implementation of the Act, protecting the departmental interests. Several of the officers at all levels, they have contributed their might, blood, sweat. We should not forget here, as Principal CC Madam has taken us back to, right up to the mid-80s. Perhaps the officers remember here, the officer, the Commissioner Collector of Customs, Mumbai at that time, Sri Daya Shankar. The very name spells fear, sweating to the smuggling syndicates across Vapi, Valsad, Goa, Gujarat coast. Why? A never relenting officer, a never compromising officer, always focused with an eagle eye. Today also I remember, I was in college those days, we used to read that how he has taken on the unscrupulous elements like Haji Mastan, Sukun Narayan Bakia, risking their lives. Not only Sri Daya Shankarji, but various officers who have lost their lives in the service of the department. The supreme sacrifice they have given, both on duty and off duty, in the hands of these syndicates. So, to name a few, Mr. L.D. Arora, a prisoner who was assassinated in Allahabad, even in the Mumbai docks that we have seen. So, such officers are to be remembered today. Perhaps senior officers know, Mr. Raj Kumaran, a very brave officer, very simple officer. I heard when a hired killer went to his house at Antop Hill in Mumbai, he found this officer. Very simple, very frugal, down to earth. He changed his mind, came back. That was the kind of a devotion the officers had. In northern India especially, the mothers know when a son is there, they wish that they must join the military army. But there was a time that the people encouraged their wards to join customs. Here the senior bureaucrats are there. In the selection of UPSC after administrative service and police service, the most preferred service was to join Group A because of the job satisfaction, the challenges in the job, the kind of a power, the kind of a flexibility in operations, field, everything is there. It's an everyday challenge. Even someone used to tell me at Kandla, the traders, customers, agents, अरे भाई क्या हो रहा है आपका छोकरे को क्या कराओगे आप धंधे में CHA बना दो नहीं साहब उसको तो कस्टम ऑफिसर ही बनने का है even the CHAs were willing to make them enter. That was the kind of a the charm, attraction the department holds because of the officers who have put in their hard work, risked their lives in discharging the sovereign functions of the state. We salute to all those officers who have laid down their lives on this 60th occasion. Bengaluru Chief Commissionerate, we are important part of it here, Container Corporation. A central PSU with a vast network of dry ports, ICD CFS, port-side container terminals all over India. as a supplementing custodian and a catalyst, the service provider, that we are marching hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with customs in creating the infrastructure required for customs facilitation of imports and exports, whereby the customs establishment is also growing. The duty revenue that I have seen today, we keep watching. You will be happy to know the Bengaluru Customs and Trade that the duty collections here are double of Hyderabad import. It's a great thing. They are clocking in around 2,000 crores per annum. Bengaluru ICD customs are clocking in more than last financial year, double of that. So in the days to come, very soon, maybe by next year, we hope Bengaluru customs will cross 5,000 crores revenue collection out of ICD. As for Karnataka state, very soon we are going to come up with an ICD at Mysore. We see a great potential over there, both for imports and exports. In fact, at Bangalore proper also, we are looking at for an alternative infrastructure facility that would help the trade. In the years to come, that we are now started looking at Concor for the next 25 years, what is going to be the scenario and what is our role. Concor already planned. We are operating close to 100 ICD CFS, around 18 mega logistics parks which are ICDs, come private freight terminals, that's a policy of railways. They are in the offing with a more than 10,000 crores investment at a different stages of implementation. Now the ICDs that we are planning would be spanning almost about 100 to 200 acres. The Mysore ICD, because of paucity of land, we have planned it at 62 acres. In Visakhapatnam, it is about 110 acres. Raipur, it's about 150 acres. Baroda, everywhere we are coming up now. It's for the trade. As for the trade and for the shipping lines especially, that we have seen during COVID, as a carrier custodian with almost like a monopoly in a rail movement in India, that we have observed. The marine freight had skyrocketed, everyone knows, for east coast of US or Europe, almost from $3,000, the 20 feet box went up to $8,000. The 40 feet box went up to from $5,500 to $14,000, and still they could not get the slots. The trade were really having a nightmare. The exporters, they don't know what to do. I was getting the trade inquiries, sir, from Nagpur, can you run a train to Tuticorin? Those who are conventionally going to. I have run export trains from Chennai to Mundra and JNPT. Unheard of. The exporter, by all means, he wanted to catch a vessel, he wanted a slot. So, today, I can state that with all the kind of infrastructure that is in place with Concor, the rolling stock that we have, about 450 plus high-speed rakes that we run, which are capable of running at 110 kmph on par with Shatabdi or Rajdhani trains. We are further increasing the fleet in a very substantial way. For these goods, we have introduced several incentives to the trade that would be of interest to the customs also. Even for DPD, that is getting cleared for whatever reason, because of the container to be left out at JNPT or Chennai ports and coming by road, the trade who are interested to get carbon credits, GPD customers can opt for container train service. We are giving them very reasonable rail freight. In fact, we have slashed down the terminal handling charges to the bare minimum right now. And for shipping lines, for purpose of supporting and encouraging the exports, if someone wish to move from any gateway port to ICD Whitefield, we are giving 50% concession in the rail freight. That is number one for MT. And for shipping lines, we have introduced another scheme. You incremental what they have given business to conquer last year for movement, over and above incremental business if they give, for every load container, we will move every one empty container free from any point in India to any point. It's a very big step. And this 50% concession, which is already in vogue till next 31st March, the trade, the freight forwarders, the CHAs, exporters, may check with the lines. We want these benefits to be passed on to them, not to be invoiced, because, it's a forum where they can come to know. There are several other schemes, volume discount schemes are there, and several encouraging schemes are done to enhance the exports, imports from our dry ports, including ICD Whitefield. Running a trains to any gateway port is not an issue. I find tremendous potential here in the Bengaluru, Mysore region. We are already in touch with. In spite of several initiatives, technology-driven initiatives taken by customs like DPD, DPE, self-sealing, AEO, still we want them to utilize the rail mode, and any issues are there, we are prepared to address them, and we welcome suggestions and guidance from the senior officers of the customs also. We are open to that. We are a transparent organization with a very positive outlook. The decisions are taken fast. We don't believe in any kind of a red tapeism. The decisions are taken sometimes on the spot also. Even the shipping lines don't take such kind of a thing. With these very few words, that to supplement our efforts with our huge fleet of 37,000 containers in India owned by Concor. We have placed recently another 10,000 containers order. We will be scaling up further beyond anybody's guess, the containers, and sourcing through domestically under Atmanirbhar policy, both wagons as well as containers, to scale up that we are operating now to Birganj, Nepal. Direct trains even from Whitefield I can run, to Benapole I can run, Bangladesh, lot of cargo is there to go. They can come to here. Then we also run to ICD Moscow via Chabahar port in Iran. That also we can run from here. We have an arrangement with a Russian railways company. So we carry the goods over there. We are already successful from northern India running there. And to Birganj also, Nepal. Bangladesh, huge potential is there. Please tap it, so that the trade has to grow in the state of Karnataka. I had a request from the government of Karnataka, Additional Chief Secretary. We had a video conference some time back, about a couple of months back. They addressed a letter to us to consider for setting up an ICD in the northern Karnataka. We had an ICD over there at Belgaum, Desur. So for some reason, due to lack of patronage, that we had to, it became unviable for us. But in any case, things have changed. So we are open to suggestion. We need support from state government also, ultimately. So KIADB has helped us in Mysore, and here also We are in association with them at Whitefield to explore and provide an alternative access 24/7 to the old Madras highway through the state highway. That will help ease the dispersal of the goods or the carting. So with these few words, I convey my greetings to one and all, and I wish the Bangalore Customs to further grow up, and any that, from Concord, we are always open to you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for enriching us with your experience of Bangalore Customs and enlightening us with the history of Indian Customs Act. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege today to welcome Shri ISN Prasad, Additional Chief Secretary, Finance to the Government of Karnataka, who has just joined us in the celebration. Sir, the Customs and Indirect Tax family are honored to have you here with us on this occasion. I request Commissioner of City Customs, Shri K. Balamurgan, to kindly escort sir to his place on the stage. I request the Principal Chief Commissioner, Srimati Ranjana Jha, to welcome sir with a sapling and a memento. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I humbly request our guest of honor today, Shri S. Rajendra Kumar, to kindly address the gathering. Sir.
The Principal Chief Commissioner, Srimati Ranjana Jha, the Additional Chief Secretary, Shri ISN Prasad Ji, Dr. Yakshagana Kaur, Shri Sheshagiri Rao Ji, the serving and retired officers, ladies and gentlemen. First, at the outset, I would like to compliment the Customs Department on the observation of the 60th year of the Customs Act. Historically, if you see, the Customs and the Postal Department have been serving together. The current systems that we have, as you know, have evolved from the British systems. The British came here as traders, and one of the first things they set up would be the customs house, and along with that, a postal facility, one for the trading and the other for communications. So the growth has been together, and as we have seen, we have come a long way as far as the Postal Department's connection with the Customs is concerned. About 3 years back, the Postal Bill of Exports was introduced. It is now strengthened by the online PBE, which has been recently introduced. The Postal Department, in contrast to what Mr. Sheshagiri Rao said, is in the sphere of retail exports and e-commerce. And we are hopeful that with the introduction of the online PBE, we would be able to facilitate the exports through the postal channel in a big way. In my recent visit to the North Karnataka, when I met with some of the customers, one of the suggestions that I got was that along with the online PBE, they should be permitted to make the advance payments of the dues, the duties from wherever they are. Now that is something that we have taken up with our headquarters also. Along with that, our retail customers, like those who are receiving goods, are also expecting the customs duties on receipt of goods to be paid digitally. These are things that we have taken up. History is a great teacher, and if you go back to the earlier Customs Act, in the 1896, there was a provision for the duties to be paid in advance through the post office. And I'm sure that in the current scenario, IT-enabled scenario, it should be very much possible to reintroduce this system. And together with the Customs Department, we would like to facilitate exports in our own way, the retail exports. And I wish the Customs Department and the Postal a good association in future in an IT-enabled environment. Wish you all of you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now humbly request our chief guest for today, Shri ISN Prasad, to kindly address the gathering. Sir, please.
Mrs. Ranjana Jha, all distinguished guests, colleagues, friends. At the outset, my apologies for coming late. I was called by the CM for some other meeting. It's a really nice gesture by the Customs Department to commemorate the 60th anniversary of this act. And in my experience, it's the first time I'm coming across such a thing where an act and the anniversary of the act is being observed and celebrated. And it's a good time. It's a very good gesture because it sort of makes us pause and reflect on the journey of 60 years and how the whole thing has changed. And of course, there would have been so many amendments over the years and how the department faced the challenges and coped. I'm aware that every year I attended one function last year where all the officers of the customs get all the awards for good performance and bravery. It's still a service fraught with a lot of risks and a lot of challenges, but I think we're all proud that the service has done well over the 60 years. And I once again thank Ranjana Jha for inviting all of us also from outside the department to be part of this function. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As part of the 60 years celebration of the Indian Customs Act, we, the Customs and Indirect Tax family of Karnataka, have put together a small Yakshagana performance with the theme of Assessment under the Customs Act. The group Yakshagana from Dakshin Kannada region shall be portraying this theme today. Towards the same, I request the dignitaries on stage to kindly occupy their seats in the front row while the stage is set up for the performance. Yes, ma'am. I also request the gathering to kindly shift their attention to the video screens next to them, where a brief synopsis of today's performance shall be displayed. Thank you.
Namaste. I'm Priyanka K. Mohan, representing Yakshagana. Yakshagana is a 44-year-old organization based in Bangalore promoting Namaste. I'm Priyanka K. Mohan, representing Yakshagana. Yakshagana is a 44-year-old organization based in Bangalore, promoting and popularizing Yakshagana, a traditional theatre folk art form from Karnataka. Yakshagana is typical to coastal Karnataka, with a vision to popularize this art form across the world. Mr. K. Mohan founded the organization in early 1980s. Today, it has grown into a fully fledged team that is promoting and popularizing the art form in different parts of the world. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the Customs Department for choosing a traditional dying folk art form of Karnataka to convey the story of 60 years of customs to everyone. The play that we are presenting today is called Ilayannana Kate, which is written by Yakshagana. This story has been performed over 2,500 shows in various parts of India. Ilayannana Kate was originally written to talk about dowry system and how it needs to be abolished for a better society. And from there, we have been able to adapt Ilayannana Kate to various initiatives to create social awareness among the people. Some of the subjects that we've been able to cover through Ilayannana Kate are Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, HIV, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, and various other government initiatives. Today, with great pleasure that we adapt Ilayannana Kate to convey the story of customs to all of you. Ilayanna is a small town businessman who has been running his family business for many years. Now, he, with greater awareness, has decided to cut out of poverty cycle by expanding his business by importing and exporting certain machinery. However, Ilayanna has his own challenges in making progress in this. He seeks various people's advice who mislead him through the way. Finally, he reaches the department to understand more about the process and the methods by which he can progress towards export and import. The department then later sends a letter to Ilayanna. Ilayanna, being a businessman, still is an illiterate and is not able to comprehend the letter completely. Hence, he goes on looking for people who can help him read and comprehend the letter for him. He meets Nirakshara, who is an evil character who tries to mislead and put a black mark to the department saying, why do you need to pay taxes? All this is not needed. Small businessmen like you should not aim at expanding your business by import and export. Being defeated by the words of Nirakshara, snatches the letter from him and runs towards the head of the town, Patela. Patela sees this opportunity as the best way to extract work out of Ilayanna and makes him do all his chores while telling him, Customs Department, I have seen in the airport, they do a lot of check-ins. Why do you need? I don't think they are anyway associated with what you want to do with the business. Again, misleading Ilayanna. Towards the end of the day, exhausted Ilayanna tries to goes to Patela asking him to read the letter. The Patela says, I might be literate, but I am not able to comprehend the English written in the letter. Finally, Ilayanna, after reaching out to several people, reaches Akshara, a man who comes to enlighten Ilayanna about the department and the various services the department gives for businessmen like Ilayanna. Please sit back, enjoy the story, and we hope that you thoroughly enjoy the show and take some valuable inputs about the journey, 60 years of customs. Thank you.
ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಗಣಾಧಿಪತಯೇ ನಮಃ. ಅರರೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಮಹಿಮೆಯನು ಪೊಗಳಲವಲ್ಲ, ಅರರೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಮಹಿಮೆಯನು ಪೊಗಳಲವಲ್ಲ, ಧರಣಿಯನು ಪೊತ್ತಿದ ಮಹಾಶೇಷಗರಿದು, ಹರನ ಸುಕುಮಾರ ಸಕಲಾಗಮಗೆ ಸಾಕಾರ, ಹರೆಯೊಳು ವಿಶೇಷ ಮದಪೂರ ವಿಘ್ನೇಶ, ದೇವ ಜಗದೀಶ ಮುದದಿಂದ ನಿನ್ನ ತಯ್ಯ ತಾತ ತಾತಯ್ಯ ತಾತ. ಬಂದನು ಅಕ್ಷರ ದೇವ, ತಯ್ಯ ತತ್ತ ತೈ ತೈ ತದ್ದಿನ ತಾ ತೈ ತೈ ತದ್ದಿನ ತಾ ತೈ ತೈ. ವಂದನು ಅಕ್ಷರ ದೇವ, ಅಕ್ಷರ ದೇವ. ತಾಚಂದದಿ ವಿದ್ಯೆಯ ನೀವ, ತಾಚಂದದಿ ವಿದ್ಯೆಯ ನೀವ, ತಂದು ಸಾಕ್ಷರ ದೀಪ, ತಂದು ಸಾಕ್ಷರ ದೀಪ, ತೊಡೆವಾನೆಲ್ಲ ರಾಶಾಪ, ತೊಡೆವಾನೆಲ್ಲ ರಾಶಾಪ. ಮುಂದಿನ ನೀ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಲೇ ಸಾಗೈವ, ಮುಂದಿನ ನೀ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಲೇ ಸಾಗೈವ.
ಸತ್ಯವಾದ ಮಾತು ನೀವು ಆಡಿದಂತಹ ಮಾತು, ಅಕ್ಷರದೇವ ಎನ್ನುವಂತಹ ನಾಮಧೇಯದಿಂದ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಪಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಹಸನಾಗುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಅಕ್ಷರವನ್ನು ಧಾರೆ ಇರುತ್ತಾ ಬಂದವ ನಾನು. ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಕೇವಲ ಅಕ್ಷರವೊಂದು ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾದೀತೆ? ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಸಾಕಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ವ್ಯವಹಾರದ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಬೇಕು. ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ, ಯಾವುದೇ ವ್ಯವಹಾರವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಅಗತ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ಸದ್ಯದ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ, ಕಾಳ ಸಂತೆಕೋರರು ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ವಂಚಿಸುವುದರ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬಹುದಾದ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟದೆ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ಸಾಗಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗುತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂತವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ತಾನೇ. ಆ ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವವರ ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಆ ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನು ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನುವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡುವುದೇ ಆದರೆ ಬಹಳವಾದ ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸೆ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಉಂಟು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. ಸಾಂವಿಧಾನಿಕವಾಗಿ ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಈ ಹೊತ್ತಿಗೆ 60ನೇ ವರ್ಷವನ್ನು ಸಾಧಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈ 60ನೇ ವರ್ಷ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಬೆಳಗಿನೊಳಗೆ ಆದಂತಹ ಸಾಧನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅನೇಕ ದಿನಗಳವರೆಗೆ ಅನೇಕ ತಿಳಿದಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಜಿಜ್ಞಾಸೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿ ಚರ್ಚಿಸಿ ಚಿಂತಿಸಿ ಮಂತಿಸಿ ಆ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಂದನ್ನು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತಂದರು. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯತೆ ಏನುಂಟು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾದರೆ ನಾವು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ವ್ಯವಹಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾದಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬಹುದಾದಂತಹ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಸರಕುಗಳನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದಾದಂತಹ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಸರಕುಗಳಿಗೆ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ವಿಧಿಸುವುದೇ ಇದರ ಉದ್ದೇಶ. ಆ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾದಂತೆ ಆದರೆ ದೇಶದ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯ ಭದ್ರತೆಗೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕವಾಗಿ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಾನೋ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ತನ್ನದೇ ಆದ ಕೊಡುಗೆಯನ್ನು ಆತ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಮಾನವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. ಆ ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಹಾಗಂತ ಅನೇಕ ಜನರನ್ನು ವಂಚಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಸರಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ. ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕವಾಗಿ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಾನೋ ಅಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ದೇಶದ ಕೊಡುಗೆಯ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ತೆರಿಗೆಯ ಸಂಗ್ರಹದಿಂದಲೇ ದೇಶ ಮುನ್ನಡೆಸುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗುವುದು. ಆ ಕುರಿತಾಗಿ ಯೋಚಿಸುವುದು ನಾನು. ಹಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬಹುದಾದಂತಹ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಏನು ಎನ್ನುವುದನ್ನು ಮೊದಲು ನಾವು ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲೇಬೇಕು. ಈ ತೆರಿಗೆಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನು? ಒಂದು ದೇಶದ ಆದಾಯವನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸುವುದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅನೇಕ ಸಣ್ಣ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಕೈಗಾರಿಕೆಯ ಉದ್ಯಮಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹವನ್ನು ನೀಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗುವುದು. ಆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯವಹರಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗದೆ ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ಸುಭಿಕ್ಷಿತ ಸಾಗುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಮಾನವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. ಪಡೆದಂತ ಹಣವನ್ನೇ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನಃ ಚೆಲ್ಲುವುದು. ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಕೇಳಿಲ್ವಾ ನೀವು? ಕೆರೆಯ ನೀರನ್ನು ಕೆರೆಗೆ ಚೆಲ್ಲಿ ಎನ್ನುವುದಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಪಡೆದಿರುವಂತಹ ಯಾವತ್ತು ತೆರಿಗೆಯ ಮೂಲಕವಾಗಿ ಆ ತೆರಿಗೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಅನೇಕ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಒದಗಿಸಿಕೊಡುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಇಷ್ಟಾದರೂ ಕಾರ್ಯವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಳಲೇಬೇಕಾದ್ದು. ಆದರೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ಅನೇಕ ಜನ ವಂಚನೆ ಮಾಡುವುದರ ಮೂಲಕವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗುತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಂತೆ. ಅಂತವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ನೋಡೋಣ ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗಬೇಕು.
ದಿನ ದಿನದ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದೋಳು ದಿನ ದಿನದ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದೋಳು ಉತ್ತಮ ತನದಿ ಬದುಕುತ್ತ ಇರುವ ಇಳೆಯನು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದೋಳು ಉತ್ತಮ ತನದಿ ಬದುಕುತ್ತ ಇಳೆಯನು. ಮನೆಯ ಮಾಡದಿಯ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ನೆನಪಾಗಲಂದು
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
ನನ್ನ ಪರಿಚಯ ಆಯ್ತೆ?
ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ ಎಂದು. ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನ ಚಕ್ರದಂತೆ ಏರುಪೇರು ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು.
ಹೌದಾ?
ಒಂದು ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿಕನಾಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ನ ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಒಂದು ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಒಂದು ಗಂಡು. ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಮಗುವನ್ನು ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನನ್ನಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮೂರ ಮೀಸೆ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಪಟೇಲ್ರಿಗೆ ಈ ಹೆಬ್ಬರಲಿನ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಒತ್ತ ಇಟ್ಟೆ ಕಪ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದಲ್ಲಿ.
ಆವಾಗ
ಹೌದು. ಆಗ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಹಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಬರೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ಹಾಗೆ.
ಹೇಗೆ?
ಆ ಭೂಮಿ ಪೂರ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರಿಗೆ ಇಳಿಯಡ್ಡ ಬರೆದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಂತ ಬರೆಸಿಕೊಂಡ್ರು.
ಹೌದಪ್ಪ.
ಭೂಮಿ ಹೋಯ್ತು, ಬೀದಿ ಪಾಲಾದೆ. ಒಂದು ಗಂಡು ಮಗು ಇದೆ, ಮಗಳನ್ನು ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟೆ. ಆಗ ಮೀಸೆ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಪಟೇಲ್ರ ಅಣ್ಣಯ್ಯಾದಂತ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ಪಟೇಲ್ರು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಇರುವುದು ನಮ್ಮ ತಮ್ಮ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ತಿಳಿದು ಅವರಲ್ಲಿರುವ 10 ಎಕರೆ ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನು ನನಗೆ ಬೇಸಾಯ ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಹಾಗೆ ಆ ಸುಖದಲ್ಲೇ ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಕಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ.
ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ
ಸ್ವಾಮಿ? ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ. ತುಮಾರ ಘರ್ ಕಿದಾರೆ, ಮತ್ಲಬ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಘರ್ ಕಿದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಮನೆ ಬರುವುದಿಡಿ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. जोर से हवा आ रहा तो मेरा घर किधर जाते बोल नहीं सकते. क्या मालूम मालिक? आगे से पुष्क अंदर आए तो पीछे से पुष्क पार जाता है. समझ नहीं पड़ा? हुआ मतलब आगे दरवाजे है, पीछे खिड़की का दरवाजा भी नहीं.
बड़ा बड़ा मने.
बड़ा बड़ा हंसा मत.
बहुत बढ़िया.
मेरा घर का जैसा दुनिया में किसका घर भी नहीं. कितना बारिश आया तो बारिश अंदर नहीं आते. और बारिश पूरा बाहर, पानी पूरा अंदर.
ऐसा.
हंसो मत. हमेशा अंदर पानी नहीं आता है. कभी बारिश आता है जब भी पानी आता है. समझा है ना? क्यों ना मेरा नाम पूछा क्यों?
ಅದೇ ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ ನೀವ?
ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ, ನಾನು ಒಯ್ಯಿ ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ.
ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಿಳಾಸಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಪತ್ರ ಬಂದಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ.
ನನಗೆ?
ಹೌದು.
ಪತ್ರ?
ಹೌದು.
ಪತ್ರ?
ಪತ್ರವ ನೋಡುತ್ತ ಇಳೆಯನು ಹರುಷದ ಚಿತ್ತದಿ ಕುಣಿ ಕುಣಿದು ಪತ್ರವ ನೋಡುತ್ತ ಇಳೆಯನು ಹರುಷದ ಪತ್ರವ ನೋಡುತ್ತ ಇಳೆಯನು ಹರುಷದ ಚಿತ್ತದಿ ಕುಣಿ ಕುಣಿದು ಹರುಷದ ಚಿತ್ತದಿ ಕುಣಿ ಕುಣಿದು ವೃತ್ತಾಕಾರದ ಮುದ್ರೆಯ ನೋಡಿ ವೃತ್ತಾಕಾರದ ಮುದ್ರೆಯ ನೋಡಿ ವಿಚಿತ್ರವು ಹೇಗಿಹುದು
ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಜೀವಮಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಬಂದ ಪತ್ರ ಇದು. ಯಾವ ಪತ್ರ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ?
ಇದು ಮೇಲ್ನೋಟಕ್ಕೆ ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋದು
ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. ಈ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಊರಿನವರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು,
ಏನು
ನಮ್ಮ ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದಂತ ಧಾನ್ಯ ದವಸ ಧಾನ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಫಲವತ್ತಾದ ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಬೆಲೆ ಸಿಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತು. मंडी में लेके जाना टाइम वो उधर का लोग क्या बोलता है, भाव आज अच्छा नहीं है. वो खाकी ड्रेस का कपड़ा डालने वाला क्या बोलता है, तुम्हारा गाड़ी में वजन ज्यादा ले पैसा जो बोलता है. मेरे को कुछ फायदा नहीं मिलता था. बाद में तो गांव में सब लोग बोलता था कस्टम से वो संपर्क कर.
ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಪತ್ರ.
वहां से आया क्या? मैं पहले गया
ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ ನೀವು?
उधर गया था. वो बोला उसका बारे में माहिती लिए तुमको पत्र लिखेगा बोल के. वही पत्र हो गया. ये पढ़ने के ना किसका बस पढ़ाएगा?
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಓದ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಭಾಷೆ ಬರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದಾ? ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಾನು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಜನ ನೋಡಿ.
ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಯಾಕೆ? ನಮ್ಮೂರ ಪಟೇಲರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರಲ್ಲೇ ಓದಿಸ್ತೇನೆ ನೋಡೋಣ.
ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕೋ ವಿರೋಧ. ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾ ವಿರೋಧ? ಇದನ್ನೇ ಅಲ್ವ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ.
ಏನು?
ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ವಿರೋಧದ ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ರಕ್ತಗತವಾಗಿಯೇ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಎನ್ನುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರೇ ಜ್ವಲಂತ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ. ನಿರಕ್ಷರ, ಲೋಕದ ನಿಯಮವನ್ನ ವಿರೋಧಿಸುವಂತಹ ಒಬ್ಬಾತನೇ ತನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ನಿರಕ್ಷರ ಎನ್ನುವುದಾಗಿ ಇಡುತ್ತಾನೆಯೇ ವಿನಃ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯದ ಜನರು ಹಾಗೆ ಕರೆಯುವುದುಂಟ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. ಬಿಡಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಿವಿಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದಂತಹ ವಸ್ತು ವಿಷಯ ಏನು? ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದವರಿಗೆ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಂತೆ. ಏನು ನ್ಯಾಯ ಉಂಟು? ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ? ಪರ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದವರೆಗಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬರುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿ ಒಬ್ಬಾತ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿಯವರೆಗಾಗಿ ತರಿಸುತ್ತಾನೆ. ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೂ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಒಪ್ಪುವಂತಹ ವಿಷಯ ಅಲ್ಲವೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ವಿರೋಧ ಸ್ವಭಾವ. ಆಗಲಿ, ಎಂದಿನಂತೆ ಬಂದದ್ದಾಗಿದೆ. ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ
ನೀನು ಕತ್ತಿ ಅಡ್ಡ ಇಟ್ಟೆ ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ?
ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಇರುವಂತಹ ಸ್ಥಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀಯ ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೆ ಕತ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ಅಡ್ಡ ಹಿಡಿದು ಮತ್ತಿನ್ನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು?
ಯಾಕೆ ತಡೆದೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ?
ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಗುರುತು ಗುರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅತ್ತಿಂದಿತ್ತ ಇತ್ತಿಂದತ್ತ ಸುಳಿಯುತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀಯ. ಇನ್ನು ಕೈಯನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪತ್ರವನ್ನು ಸಹ ಹಿಡಿದಿದ್ದೀಯ. ಅಲ್ಲವೋ, ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಪಾಪ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತದೆ.
ನಿನಗಾದ್ರೆ ಪಾಪ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ.
ಯಾಕೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಎದುರು ನಿಂತು ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಕೆಮ್ಮಿದ್ರು ಸಹ ನೀನೇ ಹಾರಿ ಹೋಗ್ತೀಯೋ ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀಯ. ಚರ್ಮ ಎಳೆದರೆ ಮಾರುದ್ದ ಬರ್ತದೆ.
ಸರಿಯಪ್ಪ.
ಬೆಳ್ಳಿಯ ಸೆರೆಗೆ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಪಾಪ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುವುದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಈ ಮುಖ ಎನ್ನುವುದನ್ನ ಕಂಡರೆ ಬಾಡಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ಮುಖ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಕನ್ನಡಿಯಂತೆ. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವುದು ಇದರಿಂದಲೇ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಏನು ವಿಷಯ, ಯಾಕಿಲ್ಲಿಯವರೆಗಾಗಿ ಬಂದೆ ಹೇಳುವುದನ್ನು. ನೀನ್ ಯಾರು?
ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣನೆಂದು ಜನರೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣನೆಂದು ಜನರೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಕಳದೆ ಕಷ್ಟದಿಯನ್ನ ಬದುಕದೊಟ್ಟಾರೆ. ಕಳದೆ ಕಷ್ಟದಿಯನ್ನ ಬದುಕದೊಟ್ಟಾರೆ. ತಿಳಿಯೇ ವಿದ್ಯೆಯ ಬಂತು ಪತ್ರವು ಸಾರಿ. ತಿಳಿಯೇ ವಿದ್ಯೆಯ ಬಂತು ಪತ್ರವು ಸಾರಿ. ತಿಳಿಸಯ್ಯ ಸೂತಿಯ ತೋರಯ್ಯ ದಾರಿ.
ಅಯ್ಯ, ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮೂರಿನರಲ್ಲರು ಇಳೆಯಣ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ.
ಇಳಿಯಣ್ಣ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀನಾ?
ನಾನೇ. ಹೀಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಾಗ ಅಪರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ನಂಗೊಂದು ಲೇಖನ ಬಂತು, ಪತ್ರ. ಈ ಪತ್ರ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಮಾಡುವ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯಾಗಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಹಾಗೆ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀನು ತಿಳಿಸುವುದಾದರೆ ಓದಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯಾ?
ನಾನು ತಿಳಿಸುವುದ?
ಇಂತೆಂಬ ನುಡಿಗೆ ನಾಗಾಡುತ್ತ ಇಂತೆಂಬ ನುಡಿಗೆ ನಗಾಡುತ್ತ ನಗಾಡುತ್ತ ನಗೆಯಾಡುತ್ತ ಇಂತೆಂಬ ನುಡಿಗೆ ನಗಾಡುತ್ತ ಬೇಡ ಎಂತಯ್ಯ ಪತ್ರವು ನಿನಗೇನೂತ. ಬೇಡ ಎಂತಯ್ಯ ಪತ್ರವು ನಿನಗೇನೂತ. ಚಿಂತೆಯ ಬಿಡು ನೀ ಬಿಸಾಡದ
ಆರ್ಥಿಕವಾದಂತಹ ಬಲವು ನಿನಗಿಲ್ಲ ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
ಸರಿ.
ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬಂದಂತಹ ಈ ಪತ್ರವನ್ನ ಓದುವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಹೌದಪ್ಪ.
ಮೇಲಾಗಿ
ನೀನು ಓದಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ
ಆಗಲಯ್ಯ. ಆದರೆ ಇದರ ವಿಷಯ ಏನು ಹೇಳು? ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲ್ವ? ಏನು 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 ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿ?
ಏನು ಹೇಳು?
ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುವುದಿಲ್ವೇನೋ? ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡುವುದು ಸರಿಯಾ? ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡುವುದು ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ರಾಮಾಯಣ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತಿನ್ನೇನು ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸರ್ಕಾರದವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಗೊತ್ತುಂಟ? ಒಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಕಡೆಗೆ, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದೆಡೆಗೆ ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ಅಲೆದಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತಿನ್ನೇನು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೃಷಿಕನ ನೀನು
100% ಸತ್ಯ
ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನಿನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಪನೋ ಅಜ್ಜನೋ ಮಾಡಿದ ಹಾಗೆ
ಪರಂಪರೆ
ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಲೇಸಾಯ್ತು. ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಿನಗಿದಲ್ಲ.
ಈಗ ನೀನು ಓದಿ ಹೇಳುವುದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ,
ಓದಿ ಹೇಳುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬೇಡ ಬಿಡು.
ಪತ್ರ ಓದುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಪತ್ರ
ಯಾಕೆ? ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೆ?
ನನ್ನನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ಇವ ಹೋದ. ಏನಾಯ್ತು? ಈಗ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಹೋದ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ? ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲಡಿಯೇ ಬಂದು ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕಲ್ವ? ಅವನನ್ನೇ ಅರಸುತ್ತ
शैतान है कि मनुष्य है? उसका आंख किधर है, दांत किधर है, मूंछ किधर है, कुछ भी नहीं मालूम पड़ता। 3 दिन खाना खा के इधर बैठे तो मेरे को पता नहीं बगड़ेगा। क्या बोला वो?
क्या बोला?
पत्र में, लेकिन मेरा हत्र जब पत्र मेरे पास थियो
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಓಡ್ತೀರಾ.
ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ಓಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪರಾಯ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಿದ್ದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಮೊದಲೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಓಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
ಹೌದಾ?
ಓಡಿಸೋರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ನಾನು ಓಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
ಹೌದಾ?
ಅವ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ?
ಏನು?
लेकिन मेरे पास दियो उसको फट के फेंक देगा बोला। मेरे को गुस्सा आ गया।
क्या
गुस्सा? सिट्टू।
तो
मारने
ಅವಾಗ ಬಿಡಿ.
70 में ऐसा है मैं 20 उम्र में हम कैसा होगा?
ಹೌದಾ? ಅವಾಗ ಇನ್ನ ದಷ್ಟಪುಷ್ಟವಾಗಿದ್ರ ಅಂತ.
बराबर बरस में मेरा पास है।
ಹೌದು, ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ?
आदर है। मैं कोई भी आदर नहीं तो हाई बोल के अंदर
हागे।
और भी मैं क्यों उसके पास फट जाता है, झगड़ा करने में हाथ मिलता है ना, फट जाता है, इसलिए पंडित लोग झगड़ा नहीं करते।
पंडितರಿಗೆ ಜನಿವಾರ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಹರಿದೋಗ್ತದೆ. ನೀನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಿತ್ತು.
पंडित को जानवर लेता है तो झगड़ा करता फट जाता है।
ನೀನ್
मैं
ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
क्यों नहीं झगड़ा किया? मेरा पास ये लेखन है ना, पत्र है ना, ये फट जाएगा ना, इसलिए ना मैं झगड़ा नहीं।
दिमाग है तुमको? दिमाग है?
दिमाग है, मेरे को भी थोड़ा थोड़ा दिमाग है भाई। किसका पास? ये क्या है? हमारा गांव का बड़ा कृषि वाला जमीन वाला है। कौन है? मी से रामैया पटेल।
पटेल जी।
पटेल जी सीधा उस घर जाएगा, देखिएगा।
ಇಂತೆಂಬ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದನೊಬ್ಬ ಪಟೇಲ, ಇಂತೆಂಬ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದನೊಬ್ಬ ಪಟೇಲ. ಇಂತೆಂಬ ಊರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದನೊಬ್ಬ ಪಟೇಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರಾಜನ ಮಗನ ಹಾಗೆ ದರ್ಬಾರು ಮಾಡು. ಬಂಗಾರದುಂಗೂರ ಹಾಕಿಕೊಂಡು, ಬಂಗಾರದುಂಗೂರ ಹಾಕಿಕೊಂಡು ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಹಾ
ನೋಡಿದ್ರ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ?
ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಜನ
ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಪಟೇಲರು ಬರ್ತಾರಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ
ಹಾ
ಊರಿನ ಜನರೆಲ್ಲ
ಹಾ
ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಬಿದ್ದುಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು
ಹಾ
ಮೀಸೆ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಪಟೇಲ್ರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ 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 ಅಂತ
ವಿಧ ವಿಧದ ಭಂಗಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ದೊಡ್ಡವರಲ್ವಾ?
ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ?
ಹಾ
ಈ ಊರಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ
ಸ್ವಾಮಿ?
ಹಾ
ನೀವು ಹೇಗೆ ಬಂದ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಈ ಊರಿಗೆ?
ವಾಹನದಲ್ಲಿ
ಬಂದ್ರಿ. ವಾಹನದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ರಸ್ತೆ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು?
ವಾಹನ ರಸ್ತೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರುವುದಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು, ರಸ್ತೆ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು?
ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರಸ್ತೆ.
ಆ ರಸ್ತೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವೇ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ನಾವೇ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದು.
ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರಸ್ತೆ ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದ?
ಹೌದೌದು ಹೌದು ಹೌದು
ಹೌದು. ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನದು ಹಳ್ಳ ಗುಂಡಿ
ಇರ್ತದೆ. ರಸ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಗುಂಡಿ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಊರಿಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೇ ಮಾಡಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೇ ಮಾಡಿಸಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ.
ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಹುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಾರೋ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ.
ಮಾತ್ರವಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಆಮದು ರಫ್ತು ಮಾತ್ರವಲ್ಲ, ತೆರಿಗೆ ರಹಿತ ಆಮದು ಮತ್ತೆ ರಫ್ತು ಕೆಲಸ.
ದೇಶದ್ರೋಹಿ.
ಹೇಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ನಾವು ಬಡ್ಡಿ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡುವುದು. ಊರಿನ ಜನರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಜಮೀನನ್ನು ಒತ್ತೆ ಇಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಜಮೀನು ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾಲಾಗುದು. ನಮ್ಮ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೇಗೆ? ನೀವು ಬಂದ್ರಿ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ? 2,000 ಸಾಲ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. 2,000 ನೀವು ಸಾಲ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದು
2.
ಹೌದು. ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದೆಷ್ಟು?
2.
ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದು 2. ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ದೆಷ್ಟು?
ಅದು
2. ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು?
ಹಾಗೆ
6.
ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
ನಾನು ಬಹಳ ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಾರದೆ. ಇವರು ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಅಪರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಬಂದೆ. ಅದು ನೋಡಿ, ಅದು ಬೇಗ ಬೇಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಸದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು
ಹೊತ್ತು ಹೋಯಿತು ಕತ್ತಲಾಯಿತು, ಹೊತ್ತು ದಣಿದನು ನೀರ ಮೂಟೆಯ, ತುತ್ತು ಕಾಣದೆ ಹಸಿದು ಬಳಲಿದ.
ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಲ್ಲ?
ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದೆ.
ಊಟವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು.
ನನಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಪತ್ರವನ್ನು ಓದಿಸಬೇಕು.
ಪತ್ರವನ್ನು ಓದ್ಬೇಕಾ?
ಏನು ಪಟೇಲ್ರೆ, ಏನು ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲೇ ಆಚೆ ಈಚೆ ತಿರ್ಸ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ? ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು.
ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಅಂತ ಹೌದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪತ್ರ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ.
ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು?
ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಬರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ.
ಉಂಟಾ?
ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರುವುದು.
ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುದು ಪಟೇಲ್ರೆ? ನನಗೆ ಓದ್ಲೇಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ವಿಷಯ ತಿಳಿಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರ
ಅವ್ರ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ನೀವೇನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ.
ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಯ್ತು, ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ತೊಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಆಯ್ತು, ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇದನ್ನು ಓದಿ ಹೇಳುವವರಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿಸಿ ನಾನು ವಿಷಯ. ಕೆಲವೆಲ್ಲ ತಡವಾಗಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಮೇರೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ನಾನು ಹೀಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಕಲಿಸಿದಾಗ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಕೃಷಿಕನಾಗಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ಕೃಷಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಇರುವಾಗ ಕೃಷಿ ಮೇಲ್ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ हमारा गांव लोग सब लोग बोला है, खाली तुम्हारा जमीन में क्या फायदा हो गया, खाली तो तुम कस्टम इलाके में उसमें बीच में सुनका डालता है, टैक्स, वो करने के लिए हम जगाया था, मतलब उसका माहिती पढ़ने के लिए. वो बोला तुम घर जाओ, तुमको चिट बोला है, कोई पढ़ने वाला नहीं है. मेरे ದೇವ, ಗೀಚಿದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಕ್ಷರ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಕ್ಷರಗಳೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಶಬ್ದವಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಶಬ್ದಗಳೆಲ್ಲವೂ ವಾಕ್ಯವಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ವಾಕ್ಯಗಳೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣತೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ? ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಒತ್ತುಗಳು, ಕೊಂಬುಗಳು, ದೀರ್ಘಗಳು, ರಶ್ಮಗಳು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನೇನೋ ಅಪಾರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಸಾವಯವ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಬರೆಯುವಾಗ ತಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ಸಾಯುವ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಲ್ಲ? ಹಾಗೆ ಧನ ಅಂತ ಬರಬೇಕಾದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾರ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಧನ ಅಂತ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಅರ್ಧಂಬರ್ಧ ಕಲ್ತರಿಂದ ಇದನ್ನು ಓದಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಲಾಖೆಯ ವಿಭಾಗದ ವಿಚಾರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ.
ಆಗಲಿ. ಓ ಮಿತ್ರ,
ಅರುಹುವೆನು ಸಜ್ಜನ ಶೀಲ ಬಾಂಧವರೇ, ಅರುಹುವೆನು ಸಜ್ಜನ ಶೀಲ ಬಾಂಧವರೇ, ಅರಿತು ಸುವಿಚಾರವನ್ನು ಮುದದಿಂದ ಈಗ ಧಾರಣಿಯೊಳನು ಸರಿಸಿ ನಡೆದು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ, ಧಾರಿಣಿಯೊಳನು ಸರಿಸಿ ನಡೆದು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ, ಮರೆಯದಿರಿ ನಿಮಗಿದು ಯೋಜನೆಯು ಇಹುದಲ್ಲ.
ಮಿತ್ರ, ನೀನು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಆ ಇಲಾಖೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಪತ್ರ ಹೌದು. ಬೆಳೆಯನ್ನು ಕತ್ತರಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ.
ಈಗ ನಾನು ಹಿಂದೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ,
ಹಾ.
ಬೆಳೆಯುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗ ಜನ ಸಿಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. आज मिले ಕೂಲಿ काम करने वाला नहीं मिला तो भाई मिशन से करना पड़ेगा. वो यंत्रोपकरण भूमि से काम करने के लिए, कटाव करने के लिए, मिशन लाने के लिए हम कस्टम इलाके से पूछा है. उधर मिलता है बोले उसके बारे में ಮಾಹಿತಿ देना.
ಮಿತ್ರ, ಹೌದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದಲೇ ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಪತ್ರ. ನೀನು ಬರೆದಿರುವಂತಹ ಯಾವತ್ತೋ ಅರ್ಜಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಉತ್ತರವನ್ನು ನೀಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಹೇಗೆ?
ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಸರಕು ಎನ್ನುವುದು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ತಲುಪಿದೆ. ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಸರಕನ್ನು ನೀನು ಪಡೆಯಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೋಗ್ಯವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಬೆಲೆಯನ್ನು ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ನೀವು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನುವುದಾಗಿ ಈ ಲೇಖನದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತದ್ದು.
ಅತಿ ಶೀಘ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರೆಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಭಯಪಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಏನಂತ?
कस्टम इलाके से बहुत झंझट है. एक टेबल से बहुत दिन लगता है. वो इसमें अभी बहुत तकलीफ है. उसके बारे में जावा मत बोला है.
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲವೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಮಿತ್ರ, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ನಿನ್ನ ತಪ್ಪುದಾರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ
ಗಲತ್ಸಾದಿ में जोड़ दिया.
ಹಾಗಂತ ಒಂದು ಸುಲಭ ಉಪಾಯ ಉಂಟು.
ಏನದು?
ಯಾವುದು ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
ಯಾವುದು?
ಪಾರದರ್ಶಕ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದಿಂದಲೇ ಪಾರದರ್ಶಕ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದಿಂದಲೇ ಪಾರದರ್ಶಕ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರದಿಂದಲೇ ಪಾರಾಗುವೆವು ನಾವು ಮೋಸದಿಂದಲೇ
ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಸಿಗ್ತದ?
ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಸಹಜ ತಾನೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರದ 7 ದಿನವೂ
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡುವಿಲ್ಲ,
ರಜೆ ಎನ್ನುವುದಿಲ್ಲವೇ?
ವಾರದ 7 ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಪರ್ಕಿಸಬಹುದು.
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ
ನಮಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ನಾವು ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ವ್ಯವಹಾರಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಸರಿ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕಾಳಸಂತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಪ್ಪು ಹಣ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾರೆ.
ಅದನ್ನು ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟುವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಯೋಜನೆಯನ್ನು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತಂದದ್ದು ಮಿತ್ರ. ಒಂದು ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮುತ್ತು ರತ್ನಗಳನ್ನು ದಾರಿಯ ಬದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಳೆದು ಸುರಿದು ಕೊಡುವಂತಹ ಕಾಲ ಒಂದಿತ್ತು.
ಕಾರಣ ಏನು?
ಸರಿಯಾದ ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ನಿಗದಿಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಪಾವತಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಇರುವುದರ ಪರಿಣಾಮವಾಗಿ ಅದಾಗಿತ್ತು.
ಸುಖದಿಂದ ಬೆರೆಯುತ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು
ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಈಗ ಹಾಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ಮೆರೆಯಬೇಕಾದರೆ
ಸರಿಯಾದ ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾದ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕಲ್ಪಿಸಿಕೊಡಬೇಕು.
ಆ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ?
ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಭ್ಯುದಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸುವುದು.
ನಾವು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಸುಂಕದ ಹಣದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ಬೇಕು, ಏನೇನು ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು ಸದುಪಯೋಗ ಪಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಶುಂಕವನ್ನು ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶವೂ ಉದ್ಧಾರ ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆ ಉಂಟು
ಯಾವುದು
ಮಿತ್ರ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ಟಿ ಸೇವಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಎನ್ನುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಆದರೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾಲಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನಂತ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ನೀಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಉಂಟು. ಇಷ್ಟನ್ನು ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಂಡೆ ಅಲ್ಲ.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವಿಷಯ ನನಗೆ ಇದೇನೋ ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಬಂದು 75 ವರ್ಷ ದಾಟಿ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾದದ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗ?
60 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ
ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನೋಡು, ನೀನು ಬರುವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಲಿಲ್ವಾ?
60
ನೀ 60 ನೀನ್ ತಿಳಿದುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಮೊದಲು ಕಾಮ್ ಕರ್ಕೆ ಹಡ್ಡಿಗೆ ದುಃಖತ್ತು 60 60 वो नहीं है. ये कस्टम्स चालू होके 60 बरस हो, आज तो 60 बरस हो गया. उसका वजह से सबको इसका बारे में माहिती देने का है. सब लोग कस्टम को बराबर टैक्स भरना, तुम भी ऊपर आना, देश भी ऊपर आने का. तुम्हारा कृषि के लिए यंत्र मिशन सब देता है.
शाबाश.
ये है ना, ये तुम ऐसा बोलता है. हम लोग ऐसा करने के लिए हम कोशिश करते हैं. उसको दुश्मन वाला है
यार,
वो ನಿರಕ್ಷರ
ನಿರಕ್ಷರ
ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟುವವರು ನಾವಲ್ಲ.
ಕಟ್ಟದಾದ್ರೆ ಬಿಡುವವರು ನಾವಲ್ಲ.
ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ?
ಪಟ್ಟಿ ಹಾಕಿ ನಾಳೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ತೆರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಡಿ, ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಅನ್ನೋರಿಗೆ ನೋಡಿ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು.
ಖಂಡಿತ ಹಾಗಲ್ಲ ಮಿತ್ರ. ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಪರಿವರ್ತಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನ ಕಲ್ಪಿಸಿಕೊಡಬೇಕು.
ಹೌದಲ್ಲ?
ಅವ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿದೀಯ ನೀನು?
ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಲ್ವ? ಕಟ್ತೇವೆ, ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಕಟ್ತೇವೆ.
ಕಟ್ಟುವುದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕಟ್ಟುವವರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಗದರಿಸಿಯುವ ಅಪನಂಬಿಕೆ ಬರುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು.
ಆಗಲಿ.
ಬರೀ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈವರೆಗೆ ಕೂಡಿಟ್ಟಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ನೀನು ತಪ್ಪು ಹಣ, ಅದನ್ನು ಚಲಾವಣೆಗೆ ತರಬೇಕು. ಜಾಗ್ರತೆ, ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನಃ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆಗೆ ಒಳಗಾಗ್ತೀಯ.
ಆಗಲಿ ಆಗಲಿ.
ಅಕ್ಷರದೇವ, ಅತಿ ಶೀಘ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಯ ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದ ಬಂದದ್ದು ತಡ ಆದ್ರೂ ಬೇಗ ಮುಗಿಸುವುದರಿಂದ ಅತಿ ಚುಟುಕಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು. ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಮಿಕ್ಕುಳಿದನ್ನು ನೀವು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶವೂ ಮುಂದಾಗಬೇಕು. ಕಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಲಾಖೆಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ತೆರಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸುಖವಾಗಿರೋಣ.
ಸಂತೋಷವಾಯ್ತು ನೀನು ಕಲ್ತದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸಾಗುತ್ತಾ ಮುಂದೆ ಸಾರು.
ಒಂದೇ ಮಾತರೋ
The win of Akshara over Nirakshara and the win of common man Ilyana. An outstanding and spellbinding performance by the group. Please give a huge round of applause to the artists of Yakshagana for their tremendous passion in dramatizing the Customs Act from a common man's perspective. As a token of our appreciation to the artists and the team behind this performance, I request Commissioner Dr. Anil Nigam to felicitate the artists on stage. Sir, please. First we have Sri Sudarshan Urala, who is the guru and the creator of the artist costumes. Next is Sri Balkrishna Bhatt, who portrayed Patela. Next, we have Sri Subramanya Hola, who portrayed Bhagavata. Onwards, we have Sri Kartik Dareshwara, who was the Chande artist. Next, we have Sridhar Hegdeji, who was the Madale artist. Next, we have Mr. Tamanna Gaonkar, who portrayed Akshara. Next is Sri Shashank Kashi, who portrayed Nirakshara. Next, we have Sri Srivatsa, who was the backstage artist. Finally, we have Shri Vishwanath Shetty, who portrayed Ileana. And the director of today's play, Ms. Priyanka K. Mohan. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Now, I request the Commissioner of City Customs, Shri K. Balamurgan, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected Sri ISN Prasad, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka. Respected Sri S. Rajendra Kumar, Chief Postmaster General, Karnataka Circle. Dear Mr. Sheshagiri Rao, Executive Director, Kankar. Principal Chief Commissioner, Srimati Ranjana ma'am, and retired senior officers, Sri Vinod Kumar, Sri D.P. Nagendra Kumar sir, and Mrs. Tejaswini madam, and Mr. Jodishi sir, and all other senior officers and my dear friends and colleagues. On behalf of Central Board of Indirect Taxes, Bengaluru Customs Zone, I extend my gratitude for being available here for this wonderful evening. Sri ISN Prasad, Additional Chief Secretary, despite his busy schedule, has ensured to make it to this event. Sir, we are very, very grateful to you for gracing this occasion. Sri S. Rajendra Kumar, Chief Postmaster General, he has been interacting with the Customs Department, extending all the help since we have the Foreign Post Office where Postal Appraising Department is there. He had been very actively helping the department in engaging the postal imports and exports from Bangalore, which is taking care of import and export through postal from across Karnataka. Sir, thank you very much for being present today and then gracing the occasion. And Sri Seshagiri Rao, Executive Director, Kankar. So we have invited him in the last minute. He was in Bangalore very much few days back, and then he had to come from Hyderabad. He has come down to grace the occasion. Thank you so much for being present today. He is one of the important stakeholders of Indian Customs, representing CONCOR, where Whitefield ICD is one of the largest ICDs in the country. And my dear retired officers, all of them with whom, almost all of them I have worked, And I express my heartfelt gratitude for gracing this occasion, watching this show, which is we try to actually be a little innovative and then bring the oldest art form of Karnataka, and with a contemporary theme of how customs is making the life of people overall better. So thank you so much, all the retired officers. And not but the least, last, I thank all the colleagues and officers of the department who have been present today, and my entire team who have been working for the last 3-4 days to make this function great success with all the support we have received. I thank all. Finally, Yakshagana team, what a wonderful performance today. They have mesmerized the entire crowd and taken us to a totally different world in this Friday evening. Maybe due to time constraint, the show is now getting over at 6:20. Otherwise, we would have been happy to actually, see an extended show of this. Performance. Thank you, the team Yakshagana, for this show on this day. And I thank all the supporting staffs who have made this program a grand success. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. I now request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
This concludes the formal proceedings of the event. I request all the dignitaries, serving and retired rupee officers to kindly proceed for high tea towards the second floor of Central Tax Building. I request our other guests to kindly proceed to the ground floor of Annex Building for refreshments. I express my deepest gratitude to the dignitaries for gracing this occasion. It was our pleasure to host, and we look forward to many such occasions. Namaskar and Jai Hind.